A movie that looks into the daily life of a unique Sasquatch family with a level of memorable detail and rigor. The movie begins with a family of four nomadic Sasquatches living in the wilderness of Northern California. The Sasquatches consist of the alpha male, her female mate, their male child, and an adult male. It was springtime as the nomadic Sasquatches explored the wilderness, searching for food and building their own shelter. Then, using branches, the nomadic Sasquatches would drum on the bottom of the tree as a way of communicating with the other Sasquatches, always waiting and hoping to receive at least one response at a time. The nomadic Sasquatches then took a rest in the shelter they built and destroyed it the morning after as they continued exploring the wilderness. The nomadic Sasquatches went to the river to drink when the male child found a male child, getting excited to eat it. However, the turtle bit the male child's tongue, and the female Sasquatch helped the child get rid of the turtle, which the alpha then threw away. The adult male found a bird nest containing eggs, and he started counting the eggs when the alpha took the nest from him, eating the eggs all by himself as he watched his mate breastfeed their child. Later on, when the female Sasquatch was sitting alone, the alpha approached her and attempted to mate with her, only to get rejected by his mate. The nomadic Sasquatches continued exploring until the adult male found food for them to eat. The nomadic Sasquatches sat around the bush of Cape Gooseberry, peacefully eating, when the alpha noticed another plant nearby and approached it, checking it for a while before eating. When the other Sasquatches noticed him, they moved to get closer to join alpha, but the latter got angry, wildly gesturing for them to leave his food alone. The other three Sasquatches continued eating the Cape Gooseberry, with the female Sasquatch being the only one to openly express her annoyance to the alpha. The alpha just continued greedily eating the plant he was hogging to himself, groaning in delight. Once the other three Sasquatches had their fill, they went straight to building a shelter for them to rest in, while the alpha was lying on the ground beside the plant. He ate all by himself. He sat up, and his eyes immediately fell upon his mate's figure. He attempted to mate with the female again, but the latter rejected him again. Upon noticing a load-bearing stick that the other three Sasquatches used to support their shelter, the alpha pulled it to use to relieve himself. However, pulling it caused the shelter made of branches to collapse, and the other three Sasquatches chased him away in anger. An annoyed alpha walked away and wandered into the woods by himself. That's where he found a lone mushroom on the ground. The alpha ate the mushroom, unaware that it was poisonous. After eating the poisonous mushroom, the alpha's mouth started foaming, and he was loudly roaring in pain as he wildly walked around. The poison caused the alpha to vomit and take a dump at the same time. The alpha looked up in haze because of the poison and noticed a mountain lion laying in its lair. Still under the influence of the poisonous mushroom, the alpha approached the mountain lion, growling in an attempt to threaten the now angry mountain lion. Then the alpha reached for the mountain lion to try and mate with it. Meanwhile, the other three nomadic Sasquatches were trying to call the alpha using branches. When it didn't work, they performed a ritual where they made loud sounds to gain the attention of the alpha. However, the alpha never came back, and the three nomadic Sasquatches had to sleep without the alpha. The next day, the child Sasquatch was getting worried for his father, so while the female and adult male Sasquatch were busy, he headed into the woods to look for the alpha. As soon as he found the alpha, the child Sasquatch hit the bottom of a nearby tree with a branch to call the female and adult male Sasquatch. The female and adult male Sasquatch rushed to where the child Sasquatch was, and that's where they found the mountain lion feeding on their dead alpha. Two threw stones at the mountain lion to chase it away and carried the alpha to a safer part of the woods, where they buried him. After burying the alpha, the remaining nomadic Sasquatches then sat together and covered their faces as a way to mourn and pay respect to the late alpha. The group then created different shapes using stems, laying on top of the alpha's grave. The three nomadic Sasquatches then headed to the top of a mountain to stare at the horizon together. Summer came and the three nomadic Sasquatches were hitting the bottom of trees with branches again, looking up in the sky and waiting to hear any sort of response from the other Sasquatches. Yet there were still none. The nomadic Sasquatches then went to the river and threw stones at the water to hit and catch fish. The female Sasquatch was able to hit one fish, and she celebrated by raising the fish up in the air. They shared the fish, squeezing it so they could drink its juices, and the female and adult male Sasquatches ate it together while the child sat by himself, munching on the rocks he was breaking into tiny pieces. A while later, the adult male was affectionately holding a snake, while the female Sasquatch sat alone, scratching her private part and sniffing her fingers afterward. That's when she realized something and called the adult male and the child Sasquatches. She announced that she was pregnant and let the child and the adult male sniff on her fingers to confirm it. The child appeared to be shocked by the news. The adult male, on the other hand, seemed to be aroused by the female Sasquatch's scent. Later on, while the visibly pregnant female Sasquatch was feeding on snails, the adult male was acting weird, hugging a tree and then spreading his arms as if to breathe in the air. He then gathered a bouquet of leaves, presenting it to the pregnant female as a way of asking to mate with her. However, the pregnant female got angry and chased the adult male away. The adult male then hid behind a tree, just watching the pregnant female. The pregnant female stayed awake the whole night, and the next day, when they were exploring once again, they found a tree marked with a large red letter X. The nomadic Sasquatches examined the tree and continued exploring until they reached a road. Not having seen a road their whole life, the nomadic Sasquatches were surprised at the sight of it, and they cautiously stood in the middle of the road, observing the ground they were standing on. They looked ahead and were both shocked and confused, seeing how long the road was, leading somewhere else. The pregnant female Sasquatch turned around and shrieked in surprise upon seeing that the other side of the road was the same. The long road was leading somewhere they had no idea of. The nomadic Sasquatches kept on making sounds of confusion and surprise every time they turned around, unable to grasp the idea and use of a road. The nomadic Sasquatches appeared to be frightened at their new discovery, and they marked the road with their urine and feces. The nomadic Sasquatches went to the river to relax after a frightening experience of discovering a road for the first time. They were drinking when they noticed a tree log that had been cut down and put in the middle of the river. The tree log was also marked with a smaller red cross. The adult male examined the tree log when the female Sasquatch suddenly felt immense pain in her pregnant belly. She sat on the ground for a while, waiting for the pain to disappear as she observed her child trying to catch fish again. Meanwhile, the adult male was still examining the tree log before he grew frustrated for not understanding what it was and climbed on top of the log. He slowly walked to the other end of the log, balancing to prevent himself from falling. Then he started jumping on the log, unaware that the pregnant female sitting nearby was in pain. Due to the adult male jumping on the log moved, rolling, and causing the adult male to fall in the water. The log rolled on top of his legs, and the adult male was unable to move because of it. Despite the pain she was feeling, the pregnant female slowly approached the adult male and tried to help him out. When it didn't work, she attempted pushing the log. However, the pain she was feeling was weakening her, and the log was a lot heavier. She kept on pushing, and the log budged a bit. However, instead of rolling away from the adult male, the uneven rocky ground of the river caused the log to roll towards the adult male, trapping not only his legs but also his torso, which resulted in him lying with only his head slightly above the water to allow him to breathe. The child Sasquatch panicked and attempted to help, but Sasquatches, while intelligent in their own ways, don't exactly understand how some things work. The child Sasquatch was hitting the log, causing it to roll towards the adult male even more. The log trapped the adult male's upper body, and the adult male was then fully trapped under the water. The pregnant female and the child stopped what they were doing and just looked at the adult male in sadness, understanding that there was nothing they could do anymore to help the adult male. The pregnant female and the child had no choice but to watch as the adult male drowned to death. After having to watch another one of them die, the pregnant female and the child slept on the rocky ground, unwilling to leave their late friend. The pregnant female, in her sadness, had a dream of a better life where she saw the adult male solemnly observing a beautiful butterfly and watching it fly and land on top of the alpha's nose while the child was playing nearby. The child, Sasquatch, was the first to wake up, and he found that the log had moved. The adult male's body had been freed and was lying nearby, with crows feeding on his dead body. The child, Sasquatch, woke the pregnant female up, and they threw stones at the crows to chase them away before carrying the adult male's body to the woods to bury it. Just like what they did for the alpha, the child and the female designed their own art using leaves and small branches for the adult male. With just the two of them remaining, they embraced each other and mourned the loss of the alpha and the adult male together. Fall came, and the two remaining nomadic Sasquatches continued exploring the wilderness together. They were walking around the woods when they stumbled upon a small campsite. They hid behind trees and cautiously approached the tent, examining everything they saw at the campsite. The child, Sasquatch, was sniffing on charcoal when the female noticed the opening of the tent. She rummaged through the stuff inside the tent, and they ate all the snacks they found inside. The female examined the boombox she found and turned it on. The song Love to Hate You played, and the two nomadic Sasquatches were frozen in their spots as they listened to the song. They stood still beside each other, looking at the distance and seemingly feeling the song. Overcome with emotion, the pregnant female angrily threw the boombox and started destroying the campsite, with the child, Sasquatch, joining in when he saw the distress the female was in. The pregnant woman found a compass with a mirror, and she was surprised to see her own reflection. The child, Sasquatch, on the other hand, was marking the destroyed campsite with his urine, and when he found a frisbee, he threw it, which then hit the back of the pregnant female who was standing still. The female's water broke, and the child, Sasquatch, clung to her in worry and guilt. The female and the child, Sasquatch, then left the campsite, and they looked for an appropriate spot for the pregnant female to give birth in, passing by the mountain lion, who seemed to have sensed that the pregnant female Sasquatch was about to go into labor. The female and the child gathered leaves for the female to lay on while she was giving birth. The female went on all fours, grunting and screaming as she gave birth to a baby Sasquatch, while the child, Sasquatch, stood behind her, showing his support. The baby Sasquatch was born, and the child Sasquatch cradled his baby sibling in happiness and cut the placenta using his teeth. The blissful moment was interrupted by the mountain lion, who had smelt the baby Sasquatch. The child Sasquatch slowly lifted up the placenta and threw it towards the mountain lion, distracting it to give them enough time to escape. During the winter, the nomadic Sasquatches were exploring once again when they stumbled upon a coop with a chicken inside. The female handed her baby to the child, Sasquatch, and gently grabbed the penned chicken. The female examined the chicken and was amazed, so she decided to steal it, letting the child carry the chicken while she carried her baby as they continued their exploration. As they were exploring, they found foothold traps on the snowy ground, and the female examined the trap when she noticed her child messing with another foothold trap using the chicken. The female sensed that the foothold trap was dangerous and pulled the child away from it, throwing debris on the foothold trap, and the child was shocked when he witnessed how the debris got caught by the foothold trap. The female and the child continued traveling until they reached an area in the wilderness that wasn't covered in snow. The child cradled the baby as the female built a resting place for them. As they were sleeping, the female woke up to find that her baby wasn't breathing. In its sleep, the baby almost asphyxiated, and the female was in distress as she tried to resuscitate her baby. The child woke up due to the commotion and watched as the female successfully rescued the baby. The woman embraced her baby as she relaxed herself. The child was fiddling with debris while the female was taking a rest. They saw smoke coming from somewhere else in the wilderness and hit the trees with branches to try and communicate with the other Sasquatches, but to no avail. So they continued exploring through the forest that was devastated by a forest fire, resting now and then as the female looked at the chopped trees in sadness. The nomadic Sasquatches continued exploring until they entered the town of Willow Creek. The Sasquatches were on high alert as they looked around the town. Despite the worry and the confusion they were feeling, they continued exploring the town until they stumbled upon a large statue of a Sasquatch. They tried communicating with the Sasquatch statue, but to no avail, as it's not alive at all. Seeing as they wouldn't receive any response from the Sasquatch statue, The female and the child looked around the area they were in, and it was shown that they were standing in front of a museum for a Bigfoot collection.